I have two questions. For your moringa that you plant closely together, how close?
I mean, we're talking 6 inches. Yeah, pretty close.
Wow.
I mean,
okay.
they're coming up right next to each other.
Okay.
And so,
And then, have you ever done the tincture with dried leaves? Have you ever tried that?
I have,
because they're stronger.
but I get more from the plant fresh in the powder. So I don't just make stuff because I can make it, because you can do a tincture in almost anything.
Right.
But I want something that's going to give me good results, going to taste good, and that's where I try and try to stick as close as I can to the raw form.
Okay.
And so with the moringa, you could make a tincture out of it, I'm sure.
Right.
But I prefer the powder to.
Okay.
The leaves are great, but for me to incorporate that into my diet daily was just too much work. And so for me, just adding that scoop, what I do is I take the powder, and when we sell our powder, we sell it with a scoop inside, because the biggest problem with dosing is too much too quick.
Right.
So it's a half a teaspoon scoop. Some people can only do half of that scoop, a quarter teaspoon. Even though store-bought, I could do 2 tablespoons.
Right.
With the fresh stuff that we make, it's a half a teaspoon in a bottle of water, so 16 ounces. I do have a sample outside. If people have a bottle of water, we can make you some. But this is how I take it, is I put it in the water, and I shake it up and let it get wet, which takes 2 or 3 minutes. And then right before I drink it, I shake it. And so it suspends, and it causes the flavor to be like a light green tea. Some people say cucumber water, some people say grass, but I've never eaten grass. So I don't know that one. So, but it's just an easy way to get that in your body every day. Some people do smoothies, and so it's up to, if you have a thick smoothie, it's fine. But if you're just doing like a protein shake, you've got to let it get wet, or it's gonna float.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, our moringa tree has the yellow spots.
Right.
Well, now it's getting the yellowing, I guess, because it's cold.
Mm-hmm.
But is it okay to eat it when it's got the yellow spots?
I mean, I don't think it's gonna kill you.
I'm still alive.
But I mean, I think there's probably more nutrients in it without it when it's a healthier plant than when it's fighting this, whatever it is, that leaf spot. So your tree is going to be healthier, I think, give you more nutrients without it, but I think you're still getting nutrients. It's, but it's, if you can incorporate, usually the spots take care of themselves. You'll lose them all, and then the tree starts to grow again. But because we grow so much, and because I produce something that I want to make sure is all green leaves, I don't want to give you something that I've dried that has leaf spot all over it. So I mean, for personal use, it's probably not that big of a deal. But for me, I just, I'm a little picky, and I want to make sure that what I give you is beautiful leaves when I grind them, So
All
that's
right.
just
So spray it with
the worm compost tea. But you want to remove the leaves. And I mean, we spray the stem, like we might take all the leaves off, like when we do the cut back, and then just spray the trunk of the tree, and then keep spraying it as the plant starts to regrow leaves, and then it doesn't come back for a long time. So it's usually when we have a lot of rain or humidity that it pops up.
Good.
I was wondering if there was a best way to eat the moringa plant.
The best way. So, I mean, you can take a handful of leaves and throw it in a salad. You can throw it in any dish. You can saute it, but it cooks really quick. So you want to cook everything and then put it in and let it kind of just cook for a few seconds, because if you cook it too much, it's going to kind of get like a crispy leaf, and you don't want to do that. But for cooking it, so fresh in a salad, there's not really a best, but it's just like what you like. So you could put it in soups and stews. You could put it in rice. You know how some people add peas and stuff to rice. You could do it that way. Some people put it on pizza, but like I said, you pull the pizza out of the oven and then you put it on, so that it kind of cooks a little bit from the heat and it doesn't get all crunchy in the oven.
I'm a foodie, so I'll tell you what I like to do is I do half Himalayan sea salt and half Moringa in a jar, because I always forget to use my Moringa powder. So you literally just use it as table salt, and the Himalayan sea salt helps preserve the Moringa powder. So instead of me, remembering to put the Moringa in, it's just in my salt jar, and you don't taste it. It just is super, super mild. So even for kids that are like picky eaters, the macaroni and cheese kiddos, you can put that on the macaroni and cheese, and they're still getting the good Moringa stuff. And I just remember how to use it.
So you're infusing your salt
Yeah.
with the Moringa powder. So some people infuse like other herbs in their salts. Is it you just mix it in like in a jar?
50-50 and just
50-50 and shake it?
That is my salt jar on the stove.
Cool, I like that. All right.
Do you have any experience making the tablets or not the tablets?
It's just work. The capsules,
The
it's
capsules.
work. And I mean, I did it for a while for one customer, but without a machine doing it, it's just work. And because there's so little goes in those capsules, you're having to take a handful of them, and then, the little capsules machine's like 20, and then you can get a capsule machine that has 100. But if you're taking 5 or 6 a day, the 100 it goes pretty quick.
Yeah.
And so to me, it's just simpler to add it to water. And you can make your water like the night before so that it's already wet. You don't have to wait for it. I kind of drink mine room temperature, but it is a green. So once you put it in here, you want to treat it like it's food, a green. So keep in the refrigerator. If you're not going to drink it for probably 3 or 4 days is fine, because it'll start getting slimy like spinach does once it sits in water too long. Won't kill you, but it'll start tasting a little bit funky. But that's how I do it. I'll make them ahead of time and just drink 1 a day or 2 a day, depends. My husband likes to drink them when he's out working. He says it gives you refreshing, so he gets his nutrients, and breath of fresh air or something. I forget what he calls it. He's not here tonight. But when he gets tired or whatever, being out in the sun, it helps him feel better. It does have magnesium and potassium, so it's going to help replace those, and it's got the amino acids and stuff, so it's way better than your Gatorades. So, and we used to put, like when he first started doing it, because he's an ice cream guy, he likes sugar. He used to put stevia raw in his with the powder to start out. But it got to where it was like he got tired of mixing it, and he just started drinking it straight. Because you can just drink a bottle of water down in a few minutes. So to get something that's going to help keep you strong and everything. Yes, sir.
I was given a whole bunch of seeds, and I planted them really tight after seeing your farm. And after a year, I had some trees that are 6 foot tall and some that are a foot. And just last weekend, I moved the foots out into the food forest. How do they move? I mean, obviously I had that nice taproot. I mean, it looked like I had carrots in there,
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I started out living in an RV park with my trees in pots about that big.
Yeah.
And then while we were living there, we got to a community garden, and they let us plant them in the community garden. So we had like 6 trees planted in the community garden. Then we bought a house, and we moved them to the house from the community garden, and I think they all lived to the house. And then we were there for 2 years, and they grew beautiful. Wow. We were always doing like the no-till, so we're always putting down compost and wood chips. So it really helps with whatever you're growing in your food forest to continually replenish that stuff. It makes beautiful soil. So 2 years in the house. So it's probably maybe 6 months in the community garden, 2 years in the house. Then we moved to Eustis, and we moved all the trees out there again. And I think that all of them didn't survive the winter but one. So these were, good-sized trees and root systems that we moved several times. So you're one little guy with the carrot.
Oh, it's a bunch. Yeah.
I'll be fine.
I was just kind of hoping. But
they'll be fine, yeah.
have you seen a big difference in production when you grow from cuttings versus growing from seed?
Yes.
Yeah?
I don't like to grow from cutting.
I've heard against
it's
it. And I
just-
was given some of that and some seeds. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they grow so fast by
Yeah.
seed, growing by cutting is kind of a waste of time because by seed, your
miss the
tree's
taproot.
growing the way it was meant to grow.
Yeah.
If you do it by cutting, what I found was that I would do the cuttings in pots, put them in pots, and then, wait for them to start to root, but they would start getting leaves and sometimes even flowers. And one time, the dog bumped the pot and the tree fell over and there was no roots at all on that stick. I had leaves, I had flowers, and no roots. So, it's going to continue growing probably on its own just from the cutting, but you're not going to get a substantial tree for a while till those roots really start growing. So the time it took to baby that and keep it from being messed with while it got roots, because once they get moved, they usually die. They're growing and then they get bumped. Then the ones that got moved or bumped didn't live. So to me, it was a waste of time. And the seeds, your seeds you should get like almost 100% germination from fresh seeds. So if you're getting seeds from online, you might not get that 100% germination, but we also soak them in water the night before and usually worm tea.
Okay, 2 more questions.
Yes, sir.
What is the best time to plant moringa seeds?
Spring. Early spring is when I do it. So we'll start inside because we have a farm and people want the trees ready to go. So we might start in the winter under heat lamps, under grow lamps and stuff. But the best time to put the seed in the ground is spring. But I recommend putting them in pots first, not straight in the ground, only because of squirrels. So your squirrels it's a nut, and so they're gonna dig it up. So if you have dogs and stuff and your squirrels aren't a problem, but if you have a squirrel problem, they will dig up all your little seeds before they even start to grow. So when we had the problem, we don't have one now because where we're at, the dog keeps them in check. But I would start them in little pots, and then once they started to grow and they were like that big, then I put them in the ground. And that way, I don't like them in pots, but you can grow them in pots, because you want their roots to flourish. The more root room they have, the better they grow. So in pots, they're kind of confined. You're still going to get your leaf production. You might not get pods from one in a pot, but you're going to get leaves fine.
So you harvest the leaves, correct?
Yes.
Can you also eat the twigs and everything else, part of it?
I know people in other countries dry the whole branches, maybe not the big thick ones, but they dry the branches and grind them up with the leaves, and that's what you're getting at the markets when you buy them at health food stores and stuff. Because I had a guy from another country tell me that's what they did. And there may be nutrients in there, but I'm sure the flavor's not that great. I think the leaves are the best part. And it's more work stripping them, but to me it's worth it to have that nutrient-dense plant and food.
Yeah, come on up, Katie. And Katie brought a bunch of seeds, moringa seeds over here too, so they're
You're sharing?
prepackaged and ready to go. Up here.
Oh,
Hi, thank you. It's a great talk. I love moringa and I'm growing it, and I learned a lot more from you. Do you want to speak on, there's always a debate on the Facebook about, it's invasive, which of course I don't agree with. And you heard people saying that to you, and because what came out of University of Florida, and I love hearing people argue about it, like they don't want us to have food and be sustainable. This is why they're saying this. But what do you think about that?
well, you just get the hardcore people that are fearful because of the invasive plants that are here. And they see a plant that you can do cuttings from, trim your tree back and throw the branches on the ground and they'll start to grow. So in their mind, oh my gosh, it's just going to spread everywhere. But I've never had anything become viable from a cutting like that, just laying on the ground. They might sprout a few leaves or even, a little, like I said, flower branches, but they're going to die. And so to me, that's not invasive. And we have 5 acres with over 700 trees. I've never had one spontaneously pop up anywhere. So to me, that's showing you that it's not invasive. Invasive, is something that you don't have to do anything to, and it starts to take over. And so,
Sure.
So since I have a lot of seeds now, I'm finally getting the pods. What is your recommendation for the best types of soil to start it? Because soak it overnight, and then what is it like as far as, because I want to get a lot of seedlings for,
Yeah, so I mean, it'll grow in anything. So I just do a nice, regular light potting soil. I mean, to me, I don't know if anybody else has a better thing, but I mean, we just use a normal, inexpensive, organic potting soil. You can do it in Florida sand, and you'll get a tree. They'll grow.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, they're pretty simple. And if you think about it, in the other country, in India, that's what I try to think about is, okay, how does it grow where it's wild? But when the seeds, they bloom and produce seeds during the heat. But then when the rainy season comes, that's when the seeds germinate and start to grow, where they have a large rainy season over in India. So that's why that 24 hours of soaking really helps with the germination. And so, and the warmth. So, anybody else?
Yes, I have a few.
Yes.
As far as the question about is it invasive, on our farm it is very invasive because we don't prune ours. We have one section of our homestead that it's a plant and neglect area, and we have 2 moringa trees that are one's about 20 foot tall by 20 foot wide, and we haven't done anything to that. So the seed, I think it had probably several hundred seed pods this year, and it always has seeds pods on it. But we had bad windstorms to where it blew seeds all over the yard. So now there's hundreds of moringas growing all over the yard. So I guess it depends if you're gonna harvest it and trim your tree back, then and not really let it seed, then it's not really gonna be invasive. But if you just want it to grow like a pretty tree, then you're gonna have some issues. But it's not hard to contain it.
But where do you live?
Winter garden.
Winter Gardens.
Yeah.
Okay, it's warmer. See, and we're also in a. We just go out and pull all his babies,
Yeah.
but and they're good. You can eat them like microgreens.
Okay.
He needs a goat, is what he needs. But
But he was just mentioning during the winter, because we haven't had a frost in that area yet. I'm
That's
sure a lot
why,
of them
yeah.
will die.
Seedlings usually die out.
yeah,
They don't usually make it.
no.
I've never had one that survived.
Yeah, but it's great if you want to continue to plant them and just let the tree go wild, and then pick all the little moringas up and repot them. It's a perfect kind of picture for that. But another thing is we have a friend that is a missionary in Haiti, and he just got cattle, and another farmer of his with cattle was recommending, instead of using mineral blocks, along all his fence line, he alternates Mexican sunflower and moringa, and he just lets the cows will go and eat what they will, to where now he doesn't have to use any kind of mineral blocks with his cows, and his cows are some of the healthiest cows in the area because
Awesome.
of that. So there's so many different ways you can use it, and he also uses the moringa and Mexican sunflower as a compost tea for his plants, and it does phenomenal. So there's so many different ways, but it does great off neglect. And if you
Yes.
guys want any kind of seeds or any kind of little sprouts, we have too many to handle. So, and it's interesting because, we'll have some that grow that are just growing in sugar sand, and most of our yard is on mulch. And then a lot of the ones that do well are growing in mulch. I think one of the ones that came off the tree, blew off the tree, it grew about 2 to 3 feet in about a month. And it's the stalk on it is about 1.5 inches thick. Like, it's incredible.
You need squirrels.
Yeah. So it's a fun thing to grow, especially if
eat
you're
all the
getting into
seeds.
growing things.
Right.
It's one of those things that'll kind of give you a little bit of hope to where you don't think that you're killing everything. But then, especially if you're going to use it for your health, it's an awesome thing as well.
Exactly.
We just haven't gotten into that stage
Yeah,
of
you
harvesting
could probably
as
get
much.
people that come and harvest your pods when they start to come in. Yeah. So, because the oil is wonderful, even though it takes, like a pound of the seeds to make an ounce of oil, but yes, dear.
I really appreciated your help. I called you because I took a herb class and they suggested making a tea for moringa and mint. So I did that, but I put it out in the sun for 4 hours, and I called you because it tasted terrible. So
Too long.
I appreciate your advice. Melissa's advice was it too long, half an
Yeah,
hour.
in the Florida sun, you don't need 4 hours. So, because it was basically cooking the moringa and making it like, a spinach. And spinach tea isn't too hot. So, it's yeah, some people love it, but.
I think that's it. Thank you very
Perfect.
much
Awesome.
for the great presentation.
Hey everyone, Guy behind the camera here. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for supporting the video. If you like these videos, please check out the other talks given to us by our amazing speakers. And if you have any suggestions on how to make this content better or interesting topics you'd like to see, please leave a comment.